Hey guys, welcome back. It's me, Avori, from season 1 of The Mole. And I just have to say, season 2 was so good. And I know it's brought a lot of you here, a lot of new people. And I wanted to welcome you guys by taking the time to really dive into my comment section and connect with you guys while answering questions about The Mole. So keep watching because your comment might just be featured in this video. So to start, let's talk about the actual casting of The Mole and how everything works. And just as a disclaimer, everyone, this is public knowledge. It's public information. I had someone comment on my TikTok earlier this week saying, Avori, are you gonna get sued for letting us know this information? No, I'm not gonna get sued. The editors and executive producers literally did a news article about this topic where they answered a lot of these questions. So I'm actually gonna be referencing this public article for a couple of the questions, and then I'll give a little bit of insider info that I know for a fact I'm not gonna get sued over. So for the casting of The Mole, they're trying to cast people who are very, very different in their walks of life. This means people of different races, religions, genders, ages. The most diverse cast of any reality TV show is really what they're going for. And while I was in the casting process, they told me that they wanted really genuine, down-to-earth people. And I feel like you can definitely see that when you watch this show. You really have just regular people, which is what I love about The Mole, is you get to see people who are just genuine, real life, regular people play in this crazy game. So that's what they're looking for when they're casting The Mole. Genuinely, they're not looking for influencers, celebrities. They're really just looking for those down-to-earth people. After they cast their 12 players, 6 women, 6 men, and a diverse backgrounds from each player, then they start interviewing all of those players to figure out who the mole is gonna be. And the executive producer, David Tibbles, did an interview with Tadam. And in this interview, he stated that it becomes abundantly clear who the mole should be. So we're not really gonna know the secret sauce of how they choose the mole, but they're looking for someone who can take the burden of telling lies and doing it with a straight face for 6 weeks. And they say that right here in this article from Tadam. So to answer the question of how do they choose the mole, first, they cast all of the players and then they interview them, in which it becomes clear who the mole should be just based off of who they think can take the burden of lying. So now that we understand how the mole is casted, let's dive into the mole sabotage. Does the mole get paid? All of those questions. So while I was in the casting process, the producers did ask me if I would like to be the mole, and I told them, yes, I think that I would play a great mole. And they asked me what I would do, which is, I'm assuming what you guys saw in the cinema mission in season 2, that was that specific interview where they were asking, you know, if you were the mole, how would you sabotage? Like, what would you do? And that is genuinely what happened in season 1 as well. They asked us how we would sabotage and what we would do. And they told me that if I were to get casted as the mole, I would stay the entire time, obviously, because you can't get sent home as the mole, and that I would be paid a separate fee since I wouldn't be eligible to win. So the mole cannot win, the mole cannot get sent home. Now, something that confuses people about the process of the mole is they say, oh, what if the mole answers questions wrong? Well, the executive producers of the show ensure that the mole does not get sent home, and they also answer the quizzes about themselves, so they will get 100% score every single time. A couple other people asked, what happens if no one figures out who the mole is? And the answer is, a lot of the times the entire cast doesn't actually know who the mole is. They're just making their best guess. So whoever has the most answers correct would be obviously the winner, even if they don't actually know who the mole is. Another really crazy and interesting fact about the mole is that nobody on production actually knows who the mole is, and the executive producers are the only ones. On season 1, there were 3 people that knew who the mole was. 2 of them were executive producers, and the other one was like an executive talent, like head of talent. These 3 people are completely removed from set. They really don't interact like at all with the production team. They will pop in on set, make sure everything is going great, and then they will head back to a trailer and watch everything go down on monitor. monitors. And the reason that this happens is because if the production team knows who the mole is, then they might direct people to do things differently, and that obviously just ruins everything. So the interviewers, the host, the production team, nobody knows who the mole is. Only the executive producers know who the mole is. So how does the mole actually sabotage if nobody knows who the mole is? The way that the sabotage happens is when the cameras are off, the production crew will take us and put us into individual hotel rooms, which we are not allowed to leave. During that time, production will enter the room of the mole and brief them on what is to come, how to sabotage, and what's going on in the next mission, where they should try and place themselves. And then sometimes if the mole doesn't get in the right group because of rebuttals from arguments or things like that, they'll call a halt, and the executive producers will actually separate each of the players, pull them into a trailer or a car, and have one-on-one chats with each player so that it's not suspicious which player they're talking to, which would be the mole. Now, I know that's a lot to process, so I wanted to jump into the comments section to answer a couple of your questions. This person said, so saying no editors knew, ? Because they intentionally left stuff out, like you said, during the season, how things didn't get shown, which led us to stray away from the mole. So the editors, they actually do know who the mole is. The only time that the production crew doesn't know who the mole is during the process of filming. So the editors do actually know who the mole is, and they work very, very hard around the clock to create a narrative that steers the viewer away from the mole. So at the time of editing, they do know. This person said, so no access to electronics. That is 100% correct. When they take us and separate us and put us into hotel rooms, we don't have access to literally anything. Friends, family. Like, I remember I refolded my clothes like 12 times because I was so bored. This person said, I'm confused. If the show has one of the highest budgets, then why is the prize money so low? The old seasons of The Mole had $300,000 to $600,000 price range, and that was 20 years ago. Why is it only around 100K? Honestly, our entire cast was confused about this as well. I do know that The Mole has a very, very high budget because the production crew is massive. The safety people that are involved in making the missions happen are very extensive, as well as setting up the challenges. Like, if you think about season 2, episode 1, they literally went into a field, probably had to talk to the farmers of that field and get clearance or pay them to literally mow down a section of their crops to cut out this very specific shape within the set. So it's a lot, and scaling down buildings, getting access to luxury restaurants, the gala, like all of those things. Even we got flown on a seaplane. This is very, very expensive. And I assume because Netflix is trying so hard to make the show visually appealing to the viewer, it's probably taking a cut away from what the winner would win, which makes me a little bit sad. But at the same time, these are life-changing experiences. You can talk about life-changing experiences and life-changing money, and I'll take life-changing experiences all day long. So I don't know about you guys, but I definitely did notice this. And yeah, I think it's because of the production value. I hope that you guys loved learning about the process and the production and how the mole works. It is pretty insane that the entire production crew has no idea who the mole is, and yet they're still able to pull off this amazing show. If you guys have any more questions, please feel free to ask me in the comment section. I would love to answer anything that you guys want to know in specifics. I would love to answer anything that you guys want to know. As far as what happens now that the finale is out, and there is no more show, there is no more speculation. Now we just hope and pray for a season 3. And in the meantime, I have some surprises coming for you guys. So make sure you hit subscribe, hit the like button, stay tuned, and don't forget to put your questions in the comment section below. Bye for now.